Welcome. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We're going to have a discussion about community Medicaid laws that are changing and what you need to know to be prepared. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. And I do want to let you know that you can't be seen or heard, but we would love to hear from you just the same. And you can reach us and ask your questions by using the chat function and the Q&A function. So don't be shy, ask your questions. We have a top elder law attorney with us today, which is wonderful, who's going to be able to let us know how we need to be prepared. And it's presented by AARP New York. We're very grateful for that. This information is so important. So don't be shy with asking those questions. I'm actually going to say right now, good afternoon in the chat, so you can all see where that is and know exactly how to ask your questions. And don't be shy. If you have a question, someone else probably has that same question. So you're helping everybody. But we'll be getting started in just a few minutes on this snowy afternoon. We're getting some flurries in where I am, at least. So perhaps where you are as well too. Welcome and thank you for joining us this afternoon. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. I'm going to talk about community Medicaid laws and how they are changing and what you need to know to be prepared, presented by AARP New York. We have a top elder law attorney with us, Ronald Fatoullah, who's going to be speaking about all of the changes and what to do. So we'll get started in just a couple of minutes. Please feel free to use the chat function and the Q&A function to ask your questions. We will leave time at the end to answer those questions. We also will be recording this and we'll be able to share that link with you. It will be available on the Schneps Media YouTube channel. And you also, if you follow AARP Long Island on Facebook, they're going to share that there as well. So you can go ahead and like them on Facebook. And we'll also provide other information on contact information via an email afterwards as well. Good afternoon, Mary and Harriet and Delia and Selma. Thank you so much for saying good afternoon. And we're going to get started in just a minute. We already have questions rolling in. I love it.
Boy, we didn't even start yet.
It's a hot topic, Thank you, Alice. Good afternoon to you. So let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Elizabeth Aloni, and I'm with Schneps Media. Schneps Media is the largest local media outlet in Metro New York. We publish over 70 newspapers, magazines, websites, webinars, podcasts, and events throughout Queens, Brooklyn, the Bronx, Manhattan, Westchester, Long Island, and Philadelphia. Today, we are thrilled to bring to you Community Medicaid Laws Are Changing on April 1st, 2021, what you need to know to be prepared. Thank you so much to AARP New York for presenting this important webinar. And I'm honored to be able to introduce you to Bernard Macias of AARP. He's the Associate State Director for Long Island. Welcome, Bernard.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Greetings, everyone. On behalf of AARP New York, I would like to welcome you to the Community Medicaid Laws Are Changing April 1st, 2021, What You Need to Know and Be Prepared webinar. Again, my name is Bernard Macias. I am the Associate State Director for Community Outreach and Engagement for AARP right here on Long Island. I serve close to 500,000 members across Nassau and Suffolk counties. Just a little bit about AARP. We're the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering Americans 50 and older to choose how they live. AARP works to strengthen communities and advocate for what matters most to families with a special focus on health security, financial stability, and personal fulfillment. So remember, health, wealth, and self. That's AARP, all right? In today's uncertain economy, planning for your financial future is more important than ever. And that's why AARP New York is proud to sponsor Schneps Media's 3-part webinar series on financial wellness to give you the information and the tools you need to protect yourself and your assets during these uncertain times. The webinars will cover wide range of topics, such as how to prevent the necessity for a guardianship action, things you need to know about the new community Medicaid laws, and understanding the power of living trust. We had our first webinar last week. We had close to 200 people virtually with us. Another one today, and now our last one on December 16th next week. So be sure to visit back to schnappsmedia.com/webinars to register. So again, I thank you for joining this webinar.
Thanks so much, Bernard, and thank you to AARP New York again. And now, without further ado, I'm very pleased to be able to introduce Ron Fatoullah of Ronald Fatoullah and Associates, a law firm that specializes in elder care, very renowned, and thrilled to have you here with us. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Shall I take it away?
Yes, please take it away.
Okay, I am going to take it away. And actually, I'm going to start to share some slides. So we're going to have a PowerPoint. So let's see. How is that? Everyone can see that, I assume?
Perfect.
Good, good. Okay, terrific. This is my contact information if anybody wants to see it. And the funny spelling of my last name is right there. Let's get to the next slide. Well, as Bernard said, and Elizabeth said, things are changing. Boy, I was thinking about Bob Dylan because he sold his entire catalog. And what am I thinking about right now? The times they are changing, and especially when it comes to Medicaid and estate planning as well. Everything seems to be evolving so much, but especially with community Medicaid, we have huge, huge changes on the horizon. So I'm going to get into that. And oftentimes I talk about making sure you have your team in place, but especially when it comes to Medicaid, Medicaid laws, Medicaid rules, Medicaid planning, and Medicaid applications, you do want to have an attorney that concentrates in this and knows this like the back of his or her hand to guide you through, because as you'll see, there are so many nuances, but so many things are changing. Okay. Now, when we talk about Medicaid, we also talk about asset protection. And the last part in this series, we're going to talk about the whole time. We're going to talk about living trusts. And the living trust is a gold standard to protect assets for Medicaid planning as well. So I'm only going to touch upon this for a few seconds, but with a living trust, not only can you protect assets for Medicaid planning purposes, but you can get almost all of the tax advantages that you would get and protect your assets as well, and avoid Medicaid recovery, and avoid probate, and the list of advantages go on and on. So today, when I'm talking about Medicaid, and I'm talking about transferring assets, well, many times that transfer, in fact, most times, will include a transfer or gift to a living trust. Okay. Now, again, we just got word from the governor that he's extended the time when we could virtually notarize and virtually witness documents through January 1, 2021. So all of this planning work can be done virtually. Because the executive orders are typically only good for 30 days, he has to keep on extending this. So it was just extended through December 3rd, now through January 1. Maybe he's trying to synchronize it to the first day of every month, but we're doing well. And I could almost guarantee that it's going to be extended again. So these are the rules for virtual notarizations. And these are the rules for virtual witnessing. I'm happy to share this slide with anyone that's listening that wants to get a copy. So all of this planning can be done in your own living room, and especially the Medicaid planning and setting up that Medicaid trust, and even doing the Medicaid application. So why do we talk about Medicaid? And it comes down to how we pay for long-term care. The options are very, very limited. It's either private pay, but the cost is so damn high. The cost of home care for a typical individual that comes in, an unskilled worker through an agency, is about $30, $32 an hour. That adds up. What if you need nursing home care? Today we're going to focus on community-based care, but what if you need nursing home care? The average cost in the New York City metropolitan area is about $15, $16, $17, $18 or more $1,000 a month. So when we talk about estate planning, you can't rationally think about doing estate planning without the other component, and that is planning for long-term care. We have to do it, because if you're going to be paying, God forbid, for yourself, a spouse, a loved one, a parent, you're going to be paying up to $20,000 a month. What good is the other planning if we haven't nailed this down as well? So it's holistic, but we must talk about long-term care, so we just plan for it. So how do you pay for it? Privately, but it sure is expensive. Medicare does not cover long-term care. It'll cover a little something here or there, but it's just patchwork. It's not long-term care. What about long-term care insurance? I think it's great. However, most people don't have it. Many people can't qualify for long-term care insurance because of a medical issue, or they can't simply afford it because it is quite expensive. But long-term care insurance is great, but it is expensive. And again, many can't qualify for it. And a lot of my clients, unbeknownst to me, they call me up afterwards. They say, Ron, I had to drop my long-term care insurance because the insurance company raised our rates. And they can do that if they get approval from the insurance department. So many people look to Medicaid as, the way to pay for long-term care. Veterans benefits, they're not as good as they used to be either. We had a very robust aid and attendance program for veterans, and that's been watered down with a 3-year look back and a potential 5-year waiting period before you can get these benefits. But that was watered down about 2 years ago. The last bullet point talks about spousal liability. And I just wanted to put it right here up front. If you're married, you are responsible and legally liable for the cost of long-term care of your spouse. So if you say, I do today, well, the moment after you say, I do, you are legally responsible for the long-term care and cost of your spouse. Now, what if it's a second marriage or a fifth marriage? It doesn't matter. If you're the spouse, you're liable. So just be aware. When we talk about Medicaid planning and we talk about long-term care planning, we do look to, if there's a spouse, the liability of the spouse and how to minimize it or actually eliminate that liability. All right. Well, we all heard about the 5-year look back, the 3-year look back. We all heard about some sort of look back, but I bet many of you don't even know what that is, how it works, what's new. What can you do to protect your assets right now? And is there a window of opportunity to do planning? Well, the answer is yes, right now. And you're going to see where that window is. And I will venture to say, if you take away anything from this talk, that is to plan now. It's never going to be better than right now to do your planning, your estate planning, and your planning for long-term care. So what's new? What's new is that we now have a 30-month look back for Medicaid home care and Medicaid community-based care. We never had a look back. Now, I'm going to explain when that look back starts, and we're going to get into the nuances. We've always had, for quite a number of years, a 5-year look back for Medicaid nursing home care. Now, we have a 30-month look back for home care, but it won't be implemented unless and until a Medicaid application is submitted on or after April 1. And we're going to get into that in a minute. So let me do an overview of the Medicaid asset and income requirements. Don't gasp when you see and read these figures, and listen to them. The Medicaid applicant can only keep $15,750 plus retirement accounts. Now, I changed the law regarding retirement accounts and Medicaid about maybe a dozen years ago, maybe 15 years ago. Retirement accounts were not exempt. But after our case, which we didn't have to litigate, we just did the Medicaid application and argued that the retirement account had to be exempt. And after lots of briefs going back and forth, Medicaid in New York City did approve it. Nassau County came on board pretty quickly. Suffolk County, they took a while on agreeing to this, but they definitely fell into the fold. And all retirement accounts in payout status are exempt. The home is exempt also in many cases. But when I talk about that living trust, and I talk about transfers or gifts, and I talk about protecting the home, just listen, there's a nuance here. Just because the home may be deemed exempt for Medicaid home care doesn't mean that later on, after you got your benefits, when you pass away, or when that home is sold, Medicaid may come after that home to recoup the money that they spent. So just because an asset might be exempt doesn't mean that the elder law attorney, such as myself, doesn't have to plan for it. That's why many times we protect the home that might be exempt. Let's protect it so Medicaid can never recover against it in the future. So the planning is very holistic. We want to get benefits, but we want to do it in the right way. And we have to do it by maximizing the tax advantages. Because if we lose out on the tax advantages, well, what good is it? The whole thing has to mesh and come together. So let's get back to the Medicaid asset level. That level is $15,750 for the Medicaid applicant, the individual. Again, there are exempt assets such as retirement accounts in payout status. Any retirement account in payout status is exempt. What is payout status? Means a little something different in every Medicaid district. It's a little different on Long Island than it is in New York City. The different charts that we use, and Medicaid looks at it a little differently. But basically, as long as you're taking your required distributions over your lifetime, calculated a little differently on Long Island than New York City, but then the retirement account is absolutely exempt. What if that retirement account is 100,000? It's exempt. What if it's 500,000? It's exempt. And what if it's 750,000? It's exempt. No matter what it is, a retirement account in payout status is exempt. Then we have other exempt items, and one that we use quite often is an irrevocable pre-need agreement. This is where an individual can prepay for your burial and funeral, and it's exempt for Medicaid. But Medicaid has even expanded that. You could actually prepay for your own funeral, the applicant, for the spouse, the children of the applicant, and their spouses. So you could see how, if a client is a little bit over the Medicaid asset level, and it's not in a retirement account, and it's not a home, what if we're over by 50,000 or 75,000? Well, our client might do some planning by maybe just prepaying, the burial and funeral for herself, her spouse, or let's say 4 children and their spouses. At 15,000-ish a pop, that will make our client eligible. And look, we all know there's a reality check out there. We're not here forever. And so by prepaying your burial and funeral, it's exempt for Medicaid, but it is a way, albeit a very minor tweak, but it is a way to plan for some people. Now, what about the income requirement? Oh, by the way, sorry, about the spouse. The spouse can typically keep about $128,000. You see the figure, $128,640. Come January 1, we know that figure will be above $130,000. Now, as far as income, the individual at home can keep monthly income of $895 a month. That's the second to last slide, $895 a month. If there's a spouse involved, that spouse can keep up to $3,216 a month, and that is going up a little bit come January 1 as well. If it's a nursing home situation, the individual can only keep $50 a month, but the spouse can keep, again, that income of $3,216. So these are the Medicaid asset and income requirements. Now, let's hit a very important topic right now. So, Medicaid rules changed as of October 1, but they're not going to be implemented October 1, 2020. But because the pandemic is still here, and not only is it here, it's raging and raging out of control. That's why New York State has put off these rules, and they put it off from October 1 to January 1, and from January 1 to April 1. And this is how it works. Please listen very carefully. This involves only for Medicaid home care and Medicaid community-based care. For example, Medicaid has an assisted living program. And in Nassau and Suffolk counties and in New York City, we have Medicaid assisted living beds. They're called ALP units or ALP beds, ALP, assisted living program beds. Okay, so if you need a home health attendant or you want to apply for a an assisted living through Medicaid, well, these are the rules. If there were any gifts after October 1, 2020, okay, so here we are in December, any gifts made by the applicant or the spouse of the applicant on or after October 1, it will be subject to a Medicaid lookback. But, see that big but on top in caps? Only for home care Medicaid applications submitted on or after April 1, 2021. So let me break it down. Let's say Medicaid applicant, let's call that applicant mom. Mom transferred, let's say, $130,000 to her son September 10th or any time prior to October 1. Medicaid will never look at that if there's a home care application. Doesn't matter if you apply now, you apply April 1 of 2021, or anytime in 2022, they'll never look at a Medicaid gift or transfer that was made before October 1, 2020 for Medicaid home care. It's off their radar. They will look at gifts that were made on or after October 1. Let's say mom transfers that $130,000 to a child. Let's say that's done October 15th. Medicaid will look at that and will penalize the applicant and won't cover the care, but only if the application is submitted on or after April 1, 2021. And that April 1 date probably won't be. But if the pandemic is still raging the way it is, it might be pushed back again. But you can't count on it. It likely won't, but there is a possibility. So, what does this all mean? Look at the red part of this slide. What this means now, if you know someone that needs Medicaid at home or wants to apply to a Medicaid-funded assisted living, that's all community-based Medicaid. And you apply prior to April 1 of 2021, Medicaid will not look back at all. So let me give you an example. Let's say it's December 9th, 2020, and mom gives away $500,000 to a child, gets down to the Medicaid level, and applies to Medicaid first day of the next month, on January 2, pretty much the first day. So you have, let's say, $500,000 transferred to a Medicaid trust for the benefit of mom and a child. So that transfer goes to the trust now. And then mom is below the levels and applies now. Medicaid will not look back. But if mom transfers that $500,000 to the trust now and then applies for Medicaid home care or assisted living care through Medicaid after April 1, let's say May 1 or April 15th, Medicaid will look back and will see that transfer and will say, oh, we'll cover your care, but not for a long period of time. And they will look back up to 2.5 years, 30 months. But that 30-month period will be phased in because they are not going to look back any further. Remember I said, they won't look back any further than October 1, 2020. So let me give you another example. Mom transferred to a Medicaid trust $500,000 on September 30th, 2020. Mom applies for Medicaid now, April 1st, May 1st, anytime. Medicaid will never see it because it happened, that gift happened, that transfer to the trust happened before October 1, 2020. But if that $500,000 was transferred into that Medicaid trust or to a child, and that was done December 9th, and then there's a Medicaid application before April 1, Medicaid won't look at it still. But after April 1, 2021, they'll look back up to 30 months. But you know, if the application is April 1, it's only going to be 6 months. May 1, 7 months. June, because they'll only look back to October 1 until that 30-month look back for Medicaid community-based care will be phased in. I'm sorry it's a little complicated, but there is this window of opportunity. So if you know anybody that needs some care now and might be saying, well, I only think I need 4 hours a day, or I need a few hours, I might wait to plan. Don't wait. Take action. Call the elder law attorney such as myself and do that application now. There won't be a look back, and things will be implemented under the current regime. I'm going to be talking about how Medicaid is changing. It's not just the look back. Things will be getting more difficult. And the role of the elder law attorney will take on a more crucial role, because we're going to have to be advocates. As I go through this webinar, you're going to see how the rules will change. And boy, like Bob Dylan said, the times, they are really changing. Okay. And just that last note on this slide, you have to know, even if there's an application submitted on or after April 1, the elder law attorney, we can always protect at least half of the applicant's assets, if not more. We try to protect everything, but at very minimum, we could always protect about half of the assets, always. Whether it's home care, assisted living care, nursing home care, just know that we could do that. And that's typically through the use of a promissory note plan if there's not a way to protect even more of the assets. Okay, so now I've been talking about this Medicaid look back. So there's a 30-month look back that Medicaid will look back to see if the applicant or spouse made any gifts or transfers. So what is Medicaid looking for? So we're going to use the Long Island number. Medicaid says that the average cost of care for 1 month, whether it's in a nursing home or whether it's at home, we use the same figure. They say is $13,407 a month. Yeah, Ron, you said that it was higher. It is higher, but Medicaid has come out with a lower number because it creates a longer penalty period. So they make out like bandits. So that's what we have to use. So look at the 4th slide. If you're a New York City resident, the number you use, the average cost of 1 month of care is $12,844. Long Island is $13,407. So I'm going to round this off to $13,000. So what Medicaid does is they look back. Yeah, if there's a Medicaid application, on April 1 for home care, Medicaid will look back to October 1, 2020. If they saw that there was $13,000 gifted by the applicant or the spouse, they'll say, yeah, we'll pay for the care, but they could have paid for their own care, but for the gift that was made. that gift of $13,000. So they're going to say, we're going to penalize you for 1 month and make you pay for your care for 1 month because you gave away 1 month worth of care as a gift. That's how it's done. So if during the look back, they saw that $26,000 was gifted, they will make you wait 2 months. You could have paid for 2 months of your care, but instead you gifted it away. So Medicaid will cover, but they're going to make you wait. And if they see about $130,000 gifted, you take 130, well, actual number in Long Island, 134,000 divided by the denominator, 13,407, you get about 10. There'll be a 10-month wait for a Long Island resident when $134,000 would be gifted. So that's how it works. There's a 5-year look back for Medicaid nursing home care. But for Medicaid community-based care, it's only 30 months and that 30 months will be phased in, and it's only for home care and community-based Medicaid for applications actually submitted on or after April 1. So again, if there is a care need, you're not going to apply to Medicaid if you don't have a care need. But if you have a care need and you need some home care, don't wait. Do the application. Call us. Call an elder law attorney of your choice, but do it. This is a window of opportunity for you and your family to get the care you need and be under the current regime. I'm going to switch paces in a couple of minutes and talk about what's happening to Medicaid home care and community-based care in the new regime, which will be after April 1, 2021. So if there's a care need, best to apply soon. If there isn't, do your planning now to at least get that 30-month look back started and done with. So plan very carefully. And God forbid, if you need nursing home care, it's a 5-year look back. So you do want to get the look back under your belt to protect all the assets. But there are so many ways that the elder law attorney could come in and be creative and try to protect all of the assets. By the way, this chart talks about regional rates. Remember I said Long Island is 13,407. These are the numbers that we use to calculate the penalty period, so that when Medicaid looks back on a home care application submitted on or after April 1, because they won't do it if it's submitted before April 1, they'll look back and for all of the gifts, they're going to tally them up and divide all of the gifts by the applicant and the spouse by 13,407 for a Long Island applicant and come up with a period of time that you're going to have to wait before Medicaid will pay for the care. Now, just because there's a rule doesn't mean that there aren't exceptions to the rule. And there are so many exceptions here. Well, not so many, but enough that we use these every day of the week in my practice. We have exempt transfers. Exempt transfers refer to gifts that are made during the look back that Medicaid will see, but they're going to say, we see it, but it's okay. We're not going to penalize you. Don't worry about it. So the first one is transfers to the well spouse, whether it's home care or nursing home care. Any gifts to a well spouse is exempt. But you might scratch your head and say, but Ron, you said that spouse could only keep about $130,000. That's true. But we have a concept known as spousal refusal. And it is another arsenal in our toolbox to protect assets. So let's say we transfer over 200,000, well over the 130,000, but we would argue to Medicaid, if it's true, based on your situation, that the spouse needs those assets to survive. Or we try to do ways to use the spousal refusal, but you got to be careful when you use the spousal refusal. Medicaid could try to come after that spouse. Sometimes they do, lots of times they don't, but we have to be prepared. And this is part of the reason why an attorney should be doing all of this: the Medicaid planning, the trust, getting that plan together, and the Medicaid application. We have a very robust Medicaid application department in my firm. We have dedicated attorneys and staff to handle it because it's so important. So any transfers to a spouse are totally exempt. Medicaid's going to see it, but they won't penalize for it. Item number 2, any transfers or gifts to the applicant's blind or disabled child. So if you have a child on SSD or SSI in Medicaid, who are disabled, transfers to that child would be exempt. It's not a grandchild, it's an actual child. Okay, those are the biggies of exempt transfers. We do have additional exempt transfers of the home that we know work for nursing home situations, but we're not so sure how this is going to be treated for Medicaid at home. So the jury is still out, and we got to see how the Department of Health in New York State treats this. But we do know that the transfer of the home to a spouse, blind, or disabled child of the home itself will also be exempt. There is, and look at number 4 here, transfer that home to an adult child who's a caregiver who also lives in the home. We have a 2-year period as opposed to a 5-year period. And we use this all the time. But when it comes to home care, there are ways to utilize not exactly this rule, but there's another rule to protect the home and transfers. It gets complicated, but just know there's a way that we could transfer a home if the equity limitation, as you see, is currently 893,000. Medicaid says that if you don't have equity of more than, they're raising this to a little over 900,000. But if the equity is under about $900,000, then the transfer of that home, even for home care, is exempt. So the elder law attorney has to structure this in a certain way. And that's what we'll do. Okay. So when I talk about community-based Medicaid, what are we talking about? All of this. A home health attendant that comes to the home and helps you out. It could even be a child that Medicaid pays. And we call that the CDPAP program, or Consumer Directed Program, where there could be a friend or a family member or anybody that doesn't live within the household that acts as a home health attendant. Even includes private duty nursing. I spoke about the Medicaid funded assisted living program, etc. Remember I told you that the applicant can have and keep $895 of income a month, $875, which is the statutory level, plus a $20 disregard. The surplus income can go into a trust, a special type of trust with a charitable organization, and be used on a monthly basis to pay for expenses that you have at home. And we now know that it will work after April 1 as well. A little easier right now, but it will work after April 1, And again, the attorney has to get involved because it's getting quite complicated with pooled trusts after April 1. But let's say an individual has $3,000 of income a month. They get to keep $895, health insurance premiums. The balance goes in this trust and could be used to pay for home repairs, utility bills, mortgage payments, rent, it's cable bills, etc. So the individual could stay at home. So don't think $895 a month, there's no way Medicaid can help. Yes, there is, because the income can be protected with a pooled income trust. Different than the Medicaid Asset Protection Trust. I know it gets a little complicated, but it all works together. And you could let the attorney do the planning and handle this, because it does get complicated. Again, we know that the pooled trust to protect income can work after April 1, but it might be a little more complicated. We still are waiting for guidance from the Department of Health in New York State. Okay, now you remember I said that, well, not only is the look back changing, now we have a look back to begin with, but only for applications submitted on or after April 1 for Medicaid home care and community-based care. We have a whole thing that's changing with Medicaid home care. Now, the way we do it now is an applicant is eligible if the applicant needs assistance with activities of daily living for 120 days or more, and then they enroll in a managed long-term care company. Well, now what's going to happen in the new regime? The times, they are changing. With the new ADL situation, as of April 1, you need to have assistance with 3 activities of daily living with physical maneuvering, and it's a complicated formula. And if you have dementia, they'll lower that to 2 activities of daily living. There's a slight nuance of how they look at it. With dementia, they look at 2 activities of daily living that you need supervision with, different than physical maneuvering. So if you have dementia, the criteria is a little different. Remember this slide 23, we will make it available to you later on. The CDPAP program, or Consumer Directed Program, will be available after April 1, but they're trying to downsize that significantly, but it'll still be there. This goes into, what do they mean by physical maneuvering? And again, for dementia, you have supervision and not physical maneuvering. Now, on top of all of this, yes, the times they are changing. We have a new task-based assessment tool that will be used to determine hours by April 1. So this is all new. And right now, the treating physician, the applicant's mom's own physician prescribes, the hour, the fact that care is needed. Come April 1, looks like there's going to be an independent physician, likely New York Medicaid Choice, which gets involved in the Medicaid application process, will do this. But you're replacing a doctor that knows his patient maybe for years, 20 years plus, with someone that never met the individual. Crazy, but that's what's happening. A new regime. And we're going to have an independent assessor, not only to say that care is needed, but to determine hours. Currently, it's the managed long-term care company. But as of April 1, it's going to be an independent assessor. Totally different than what it is now. And after April 1, If you are given more than 12 hours, Medicaid will do another review on top of all of this to make sure that it's safe for you to be at home. And if it's not safe for you to be at home, they'll cut you off home care. That's why you need an advocate. And that's what the elder law attorney does throughout this process. Now, my thinking is Medicaid isn't trying to make sure that you're well and healthy. I think they're trying to throw people off the Medicaid rolls. And shame on Medicaid to pick 12 hours plus to do this extra review, because they only pay an individual 13 hours if they sleep in. But this review is done if there's more than 12 hours. Shame on Medicaid for doing this. But that's why everyone needs an advocate to navigate through this maze, especially after April 1, 2021. Now, we do have an immediate needs program where if you need Medicaid right away, we could get it virtually within a week or two. And we still have it right now. And we right now are still getting our clients Medicaid right away. And the program will exist after April 1 as well. The consumer-directed program is going to be around after April 1, but they're reducing, they're reducing the fiscal intermediaries who actually put this all together from about 600 to 25. So you know what they're doing. And as of March of this year, we do have some special rules because of COVID-19. And some things are a bit easier, but surely not what's coming down the pike. So if you got anything from what I said so far, and I'd be delighted to answer questions in just a couple of seconds, plan ahead, plan ahead. Get the 30-month or 5-year look back under your belt. Have an elder law attorney such as myself do the planning. Better to do it now than at any time, because again, the times they are changing, but especially right now, because as of applications for home care starting April 1, things are going to be radically different. And even if there's going to be an application, you might say, well, I could do this in March. We need to gear up. We need to figure out what to do the Medicaid plan, draft the trust, have it all implemented, have everything funded, do the Medicaid application. It is not a one-week process. Planning needs to be done now. So thank you so much. I am going to stop. Here's my contact information if anybody wants it. I'm going to stop sharing my slides. Hang on one second. Here it is. And I'm happy to take any and all questions. So,
thank you so much, Ron. Wow, that was really detailed and informative. I really appreciate it. And we do have.
Oh, you're welcome. I hope it wasn't too detailed, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. But
absolutely. No, look, it certainly shows how complicated things are and why it is important to work with an attorney, an elder law attorney who really understands the ins and outs, because it can be quite a lot for individuals. But we do have some questions here.
Yeah, good.
Frank wanted to know, what if a person gives away their money within the 30 months? Do they have to wait 30 months before applying?
No. They don't have to wait. And that's what I was talking about. If 500,000 is gifted away or whatever, any number, and the Medicaid home care application is submitted before April 1, there's no look back. If the gifts were done prior to October 1 of this year, they'll never look back and see it. It depends when the gifts were made. And if only 13,000 was gifted, and it was gifted, let's say even after April 1, and Medicaid will see it, there's only a 1-month wait, not 30 months, because it's, if you're a Long Island resident, aggregate, add up the gifts, divide by 13,407. That's the number of months Medicaid wants you to wait. But then we have exceptions, and there's lots of other creative planning that can be done. But there isn't just a knee-jerk reaction 30-month wait. Absolutely not.
Okay, great. Someone wants to know if these requirements only are for New York, and do they change state by state?
These requirements are only for New York, but let me give, that's the good or bad news. The really bad news is that New York, despite all of this, has the best home care program around. This is the best home care program around, despite the 30-month look back that's coming up. So if you're dealing in another state, you probably won't even have it as good as what's going to be after April 1. But this is only for New York State.
Wow. Okay. There's been a bunch of questions, and I wanted to let people know that have to do with trusts. And I just wanted to remind, as Bernard had said, on December 16th, we are going to have a webinar that is really going to delve deep into that topic. So I'm not going to bring up those questions right now, but please, I ask that you join us. I will put the registration link in the chat, so it'll be easy, but you also can go to schnepsmedia.com/webinars, and you can register right there for it. So we will be able to take a deep dive into it. But asking some more questions here. Carolyn wants to know, does a transfer or gift after October 1st also include a withdrawal of cash funds to myself from my checking account?
No, if you're the Medicaid applicant and you use your own money, you could take, let's think nice and big, no virus. You take $50,000 out to take a trip around the world. Well, you're using your own money. It's not a gift. No penalty. Use your money and enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And hopefully in a COVID-free world very soon.
Amen to that. Andrea wants to know, can you confirm that bank accounts held jointly with a child are not exempt?
They are not. They are not an exempt asset. Medicaid will count them, and Medicaid will count the joint bank account as entirely owned by the Medicaid applicant. So if mom has a bank account, let's say mom is the applicant with a child for $100,000, Medicaid will say mom has $100,000, unless we can show and prove that the child put in some of his or her own money into that account. So if we could show that half that account is the child's, even if it was done 20 years ago, sometimes you go back and we prove it, Medicaid will say, okay, it's only half mom's. But without that kind of proof, Medicaid will say it's all mom's.
Do you need that long-term proof, or can it be in the short? How far back would it have to be?
Whenever the child put money in, if it was yesterday, that's easy. If it was 20 years ago, we got to try to find the proof. Just to show that the child contributed to the account and that part of that money is really the child's. Otherwise, Medicaid will assume that a bank account is all mom's. By the way, a brokerage account is different. If that brokerage account requires, mom and child, and the brokerage account requires 2 signatures, Medicaid says that it's only 50-50. So every type of asset, Medicaid might look at it a little differently.
Good to know. Thank you. Jeffrey wanted to know, should you apply even if you don't meet the ADL requirements?
No, if you're not going to meet the ADL requirement and you're not going to get Medicaid, don't apply. It's only if you need the care. But don't forget, the new ADL requirement with physical maneuvering, etc., only starts after April 1. So right now we're under another regime, and it's easier to get the care right now. But if no care is needed, don't apply now.
Okay, terrific. Let me see, I have a couple more questions. You mentioned something about 12 hours, and Joel wanted to know, did you mean 12 hours a week or 12 hours a day?
Oh, very good. Shame on me. Thank you for that. It's 12 hours a day. So Medicaid says that, you know, when we're in the new regime after April 1, and by the way, Medicaid could push that out more if the pandemic is raging. We don't know yet. Right now it's April 1. We believe it's going to be April 1, but who knows? It's a crazy world out there. But it is 12 hours a day, and they will do, under the new regime, they will look at individuals with high hours, over 12 hours per day, and they want to do another assessment to make sure the individual is safe. I just hope that's not a guise to try to kick some people off the rolls that should be on the rolls. So we're going to keep a close eye out, especially for our clients, to make sure there are no abuses in the system.
Important, important. We have a question here. Will the 30-month look back apply to CDPA housekeeping services and assistance for 8 hours per week through Medicaid?
Yes, it's going to be there, but thankfully we will have a CDPAP program, but it will be, yes, it's there for CDPAP as well, consumer directed.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for all of us. And we could have you here all afternoon answering questions, but this was so informative. And I know a lot of people were interested in getting the slides. What I will do is send your contact information to Mr. Fatoullah, so he can get that information out to you. But as I said, this is recorded and it will be available on the schnepsmedia.com Schneps Media YouTube channel and on AARP Long Island Facebook page in the next 48 hours. Ron, thank you so much. That was really spectacular and
Thanks so much, Elizabeth. Thank you to Schneps Media. You guys do an amazing job. And I don't know what to say. AARP is terrific. And Bernard personally has done an absolute amazing job. Thank you, Bernard.
Yes,
and thank you, Elizabeth.
I'd like to welcome Bernard back to have some closing remarks, and then we have a short video.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Ron.
Sure.
For such a great presentation, valuable information for all of us. I want to thank everyone who participated here today in our second 3-part webinar series on financial wellness, hosted by Schneps Media and sponsored by AARP New York. Again, my name is Bernard Macias. I'm the Associate State Director for Community Engagement right here on Long Island. You know, we know communities across New York State are facing some really challenging times, and AARP is here working to ensure that you have the financial security you need to take charge of your future and live independently as you age. We're focusing on supporting these communities throughout the state with opportunities to connect without ever leaving your home. We're offering many ways to do that, so keep engaged and informed online with us. Connect with AARP New York at aarp.org/near-you to learn more about at-home activities, classes, wellness, upcoming events, seminars like this, and volunteer opportunities. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/AARP NY to participate in free conversations with local and state leaders who talk about issues such as health and finances and scams that are happening in your area. And if you live right here on Long Island, find us on Facebook at facebook.com/AARP Long Island. Again, thank you so much for being here with us today. Just a reminder, this is a 3-part series, so you can join us on December 16th for Understanding the Power of Living Trust. Like Elizabeth said, there were a number of people who had questions about that, so please register with us. Visit schnepsmedia.com/webinars to register and share this with your friends and family. Tell everyone, you know, and in fact, if you're looking for another topic, you know, for the very near future, reach out to us, drop us an email. You can email us at nyaarp@aarp.org or drop us a note, a comment on our Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, and stick with us. Thank you so much, Bernard. Stick with us for a moment. I want to share this wonderful video with you.
Hey! Hey!
Hi.
It's time to crack an egg.
Easy, any style egg works.
Or smile.
Well done, this is great.
Time to share a story.
I have a great way to start our discussion.
With old friends or new ones.
When you're a caregiver.
Time to breathe in.
And count up. Good job.
Then let it all out. It's never been easier to connect, learn, and have fun. So let's do it together. Come find us at aarp.org/near-you.
Thank you for everyone joining us. Again, thank you so much to AARP New York. Thank you so much to Ron Fatoullah. Thank you to all of our attendees for spending some time with us this afternoon. I did share again the registration link for our next and final of the 3-part series right there for you. And we look forward to seeing you in the near future, hopefully on the 16th. Everyone stay safe, stay healthy, and have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.